You don't have it, like, nah. Oh, good. You got me?
That's the most important part.
The moneymaker. All right. So, Feeney Talks with Friends, episode 32. I got a wonderful guest, Chris Clarke, in the house. How you doing, Chris?
Old and tired, but I'll live.
Just to review, episode 31 was a good one. Liam Sweeney. Congratulations, Liam. He's soon to be a father of 3. Maybe you could give him some advice. He just won the town councilship that he was going for. He is on town council for the town of West Hartford. We had a wonderful interview with Liam Sweeney. Check it out, episode 31. We also, Friends of Feeney. Feeney Talks with Friends. My name is Eric Feeney. I am the founder and president of Friends of Feeney. Our mission is to help children and families that have heartbreak or tragedy. And we use this podcast to talk to wonderful people that are doing great things in the community. And this is it. Chris, what's up?
So hopefully I can keep that momentum going. Wonderful people. That's a bit of a stretch, but yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the high praise from an amazing person, man. I'm just happy to be here.
And I have the humble brag, award-winning podcast.
Award-winning podcast. Say it again. Let the people hear.
It's award-winning. Also, episode 26, James Mark won the Judith Ferry Award from the 4-H. We recently celebrated. I went to him. He got a huge trophy. It was amazing. He was very proud. So it's award-winning. You're on an award-winning podcast.
No, I'm happy to be here because I'm absolutely gonna use that as I try to propel mine forward and catch up. Maybe we can get an award or two as well.
Yeah. And let's just start. Single dad, why you mad?
Single dad, why you mad? Yeah. So, single dad, why you mad is one of my outside ventures. My day job is as a financial advisor. My number one job is as a dad to 3 young ladies, ages 20, 15, and 13, and kind of out of going through a divorce and trying to be an active father to my girls, which is my primary mission and goal. I was reached out to by a friend of the family, a friend of my older sister, because at the time I was blogging about going through the divorce and funny things my kids say and just how I handle different things. And my sister's friend reached out to her and said, "You got to put me in contact with your brother because I think we could do something together." And what started off as what was scheduled to be a 1-hour conversation ended up being a 3-hour conversation on FaceTime, and us coming up with the concept for Single Dad, Why You Mad, which is 2 dads. Me being a dad for most of my adult life. I had my first kid at 25, and him coming into fatherhood at 50. So he had his first kid at 50, and despite the best of intentions, we ended up on paths where we're no longer with our co-parents and trying to make the best of that co-parenting relationship to set an example for the kids. And every so often we get together and we record it and record our conversations, and we provide a platform for other parents to share their stories. Yeah,
3 girls too. So podcast guests, Matt Whitney, episode 18, 3 girls.
Yeah.
Irene from Donut Crazy, episode 10, 3 girls. I have 2 girls.
Yep. You need to make one more. Come on. Time to catch up.
Single dad, why you mad? I love the intro. I'm gonna just play the intro.
Single dad, why you mad? Single dad, why you mad? Single dad, why you mad?
Hail, the gang is all here. Welcome back to another episode of Single Dad.
Yeah, that's cool. Are those friends of yours that did all those?
Yeah, so those were friends and listeners. So people, at one point we said, hey, just give us a little mic drop of you saying, Single Dad, why you mad? In any inflection you want. Because when you think about the title of the show, it's almost like a Rorschach test, right? It's Single Dad, why you mad? And depending on the inflection, it means different things. Kind of given where the name came from, my co-host tells a story about hanging out in front of the Apple store, and he has like the Moby wrapped around him. He has his son, who's an infant at this time. He's holding a pacifier in his mouth, and he has a bottle in his pocket, and he has his phone out because he's waiting to be seen. And this lady walks by and goes, "Oh, where's Mom?" He goes, "I don't know." She goes, "Oh, who wrapped that for you?" He goes, "Me." He goes, "How'd you learn how to do that?" "I just did." And so the idea that why are you angry seeing me as a single dad being competent? Yeah. And you think about the image that's put forward on TV about dads, right? you look at, the Al Bundys of the world, or even like,
Homer
Simpson, or like even more recently, like there was a show, The Unicorn, where this guy loses his wife, and he's like he's a sweet dude, and he's charming, and he's nice, but he's kind of inept. He doesn't know how to cook meals, or he doesn't know like about the problems that his kids have. And when you sit down and you really talk to dads, we approach paradigms from a very different angle, versus moms, but that doesn't mean that we're not good at what we do. Yeah, and a large part of what we do is to try to provide that platform so dads can come and talk about their relationships with their kids and their relationships with their co-parents.
Yeah, I know. There was always the dads like, "Oh, I don't do diapers." I'm like, "Oh, you're cool. Like,
yeah.
Hey, you're great job. Congratulations. Like, you don't do diapers. So cool." But it's like, I was fully involved and still am, and reading and changing diapers and bringing them around, and now we do the Marvel movies and just whatever the girls like. One wants to play tennis, I'll go play tennis. One wants to shoot hoop, or they want to play some crazy Dungeons and Dragons villainous game that is like a car. I feel like it's almost like a college essay. I have to read these cards to figure out my next move. I'm like, I just want to play a game, but for the girls, for the babies, we'll do it.
And that's it, right? It's you just travel in a very different lane. Like, my ex-wife is very organized and detail-oriented. I am at work. Outside of work, I have no tolerance for it. I have no patience, right? And so where she's very organized in certain things and she's very meticulous about certain things, I come with a broader view of things. And even our interaction with the kids, we both love our kids very much. We both bring very different things to the table, but we provide a holistic approach to raising these kids together.
Yeah.
And we get along well enough where we can have conversations and co-parent together.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you said you had a couple titles, Anger Management, The New York Courts Be Wildin', Young Fathers Matter, I'm Just Saying, so those were some, Insecure Co-Parents was another one. Those were all great titles.
Yeah, Insecure Co-Parents was one of our most recent episodes, and that was based on an episode of the TV show Insecure on HBO, where one of the main characters, it turns out that his ex-girlfriend was pregnant. They had a baby. He finds out via text that the baby has arrived, and the entire episode is just them butting heads. And her not taking him into consideration. He's basically an afterthought in any of the planning. Him feeling like he's an afterthought and being resentful and digging his heels in on things that don't necessarily need to be an argument, and then them just coming to war about any and everything, which kind of happens when two people separate. Because when I think about like my relationship with my ex-wife, I refer to it as being inextricably bound. Right, like you when you divorce somebody or you separate from someone and you have a kid in common, you're basically stuck dealing with somebody that, under normal circumstances, you can completely avoid, right? And so there's also that resentment feeling like, oh my God, I've got to deal with this person. I've got to go in the same room as this person. I've got to have a conversation with this person that I'd much rather not have to deal with. And so in that episode, is basically hinging on that premise of what they went through, how it was analogous to what I went through with my ex-wife and what my co-host continues to go through with his ex-partner, and we do a couple of giggles in there while we're at it.
Oh, that's cool. I'm definitely gonna check it out more. I listened to your most recent one, and they quoted Lou Holtz, and I was like, oh, I'm hooked. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so. And just where you want to be, and you want to try to be a better father than your father was for you, and
Absolutely.
just give to your children the childhood that you wish you had, or that you had if it was positive. So those were great. All right, so I'm going to suggest to all of my listeners, Single Dad, Why You Mad? What is it? It's on. I have it on Apple and Google.
So we are on Apple, we are on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we are everywhere that you can find podcasts. We also have a little bit of a Twitter presence, a little bit more on Instagram. But yeah, we're out here, anywhere you can find podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Definitely on Instagram, too. I saw that.
Yeah.
All right, so listeners, friends, go check it out. And we have to do a cheers. Let's cheers to the podcast. Let's cheers to where we are. We'd even talk about this.
Oh, absolutely. We got to give a shout out to, to our hosts today.
WeHa Roasting and Brewing. Which one do you want to cheers? You want to cheers the Crumpet, the Shield, the Mo, or the Gather?
You know what? Let's try the Shield, because
Right.
I sipped the other two on the far ends.
So this is for Shield. Cheers, man.
salute.
Thank you for coming on. This is a long time coming.
Well, thank you for having me, man. Definitely a long time coming.
It didn't work out one time, and I'm sorry there are schedule changes, and we go based on availability, but it's happening now. We're on Shield Street. This is named after Shield Street. This is WeHa Roasting and Brewing. We're on 141 Shield Street, right next to the post office. So wonderful spot. Definitely be sure to check out Will and Cody. They were on the podcast. Top 2 follow. They have 400 listens and views. Episode 16.
So episode 16 is the number 1 listened right
Number
now.
two.
Number two. Number 1 was the award winner.
Award winner's number 3.
Number 3.
Number 1 were just 3 schmoes I play basketball with.
All right.
Ty, Andy, and Scott. Episode 22. They're called the bottom 3 because we're like terrible in basketball. We're the bottom 3 picked.
The bottom 3 pick, but the number one listen.
podcast, right?
All right, and I said what? 500 listens.
500.
All right, so
You can break this,
So
or-
this is the goal. We not break that.
Let's cheers again to that.
Yeah.
Breaking 500 views.
Yeah, here we go.
Shield Street. This one's my favorite. This one I have taken in a growler twice.
This is very good, man.
And Will pop in and say hi. And Will is working on a double IPA of the Shield. And I can't wait for that to drop because, again, this is delicious.
Yo, Will, we're gonna have to exchange numbers, bro.
And then this Mo and Lo is named after their 2 dogs.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool. And their website, the Wi-Fi, as you can see, it's Mo8Lo 141 is their Wi-Fi password. So when you come, you sign on the guest at WeHa Guest, and Mo and Lo is also a bear, and it's also their Wi-Fi password.
So that's big love for their puppies, man.
Yeah,
That's how
big,
it is.
and they might be here too, so maybe they'll make a cameo.
Oh, that's what's up.
But again, I can't thank you. We got into the podcast, and for your profession, you are the Freckled financial phenom.
Yep. So that's absolutely sticking. That's been floating around, and it's funny because I think about moving here because I came to West Hartford. Gosh, I've been in Connecticut. February will make 20 years in Connecticut, so like almost 18 years in West Hartford. And I always say that one of the things I miss about New York is being able to be anonymous, right? Because you can go where you want to, do what you want to, and nobody really pays attention. And I remember walking around after being here for a little bit, and people going, "Hey, Chris," and I go, "I didn't need another Chris." But, "Hey, Clarke," I'm like, "There's probably a few Clarks." Freckles, damn it. I'm a 6'1", bald-headed black guy with freckles. I know of one other in the greater Hartford area.
Yeah.
And I happen to know the dude, right? He's also from New York. So, freckles kind of stuck, and, I'm a financial advisor by day, and I'm pretty phenomenal at what I do if I'm going to pat myself on the back. I've been doing this for, about almost 25 years now. And when I think about kind of how I got started in it, I was a psychology major initially in my undergrad years. And I come from a Caribbean family. And when you come from a Caribbean family, those of you who are listening out there who come from Caribbean families, tell me if I'm right or wrong, you have 4 acceptable career paths, right? You could be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or a disgrace to the family. And so I was like, I guess I'll be.
Where in Caribbean? Which Caribbean?
So
Barbados?
My dad is from Barbados, and my
look at
mom
that.
is from Trinidad. Yeah.
All right.
And so in my case, I was like, okay, I don't want to go through med school, but if I major in psychology and become a psychologist, then I still get the doctor in front of my name. I get a little bit of props. But when I really think about it, like why I was really drawn to psychology, I liked meeting new people. I liked hearing interesting stories, and ultimately, I liked helping people find answers to their problems. And you fast forward, and that's basically what I do now. Like people think if you're going to go into financial services and you're going to be a financial advisor, you've got to be able to talk about modern portfolio theory and about adding alpha to somebody's portfolio and standard deviations and so forth. And yeah, I can do that. Like I have my master's in finance and management, but most people don't talk about money in that way. You know, the average person talks about money in terms of dollars and cents and how their money makes them feel. And when I look at my 2 degrees, right, the psychology degree has been a lot more helpful in what I do on a day-to-day basis. You know, because when I sit down and I talk to people about money, it's generally, you know, I work so hard and my spouse has no idea what I do for a living. Or, you know, my spouse and I have worked to build this thing together and our kids don't share our values and they're gonna fritter our money away. Or, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough money to make it to retirement. Or, hell, I've had the rough conversation where I've had somebody sitting across from me who was 60, physically unable to work and hadn't put anything aside and going, what the hell do I do now? You know, so a large part of what I do is hand-holding and you know, one of my really good friends, David Ford, I don't know if you had opportunity to have David on yet, but David referred to it as, you know, financial psychology.
What's David Ford do?
So David works with corporations and helps them to coach and revitalize their employees.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, right? Is that who you're with?
Yes, I'm with Merrill currently.
So 3 things that make you great at your job. You know, we'll start, you're already the Freckled Phenom, so we'll take that one.
Right.
In addition to being the Freckled Phenom, what are some three things that make you great at your job?
I speak plain English. I think that's the number one thing. You know, having worked in the industry for so long and worked in various capacities, I've trained financial advisors. And one of the major problems you have, at least when I talk to people about going and having conversations with advisors, is that we want to vomit what we know all over you. So you come and you sit down and we start speaking in jargon you don't understand, and we start talking about terminology you don't get, and we're very proud of what we've accomplished and what we've learned, but that doesn't help you get to where you need to be. Yeah. So I think first thing first is I speak plain English. I think secondly is I meet people where they are, right? So whether you're a multi-million-dollar C-suite executive, or you're a young professional trying to build wealth and figure out how to manage your day-to-day finances, I meet you where you are, and we have plain conversations about getting your helping you to reach those goals. And I think thirdly is you're bound to find something in common with me. And I'm not everybody's financial advisor. I get that. I'm the dude who's showing up to your podcast in a Wu-Tang shirt, right?
Yeah. We'll get into that, definitely.
Yeah, we'll absolutely dive into that. And the reality is, when I used to train financial advisors, I would always tell young people starting out in the business, when you're sitting across from another person, and we're always trying to make a good impression and make people want us. And I said, you're sitting across from another person, you both breathe air, you both have blood flowing through your veins. That's 2 things you already have in common. You just got to find a third. And like one of my greatest client stories is a multi-million-dollar couple that I met, and we happen to be friends because we all like Marvel movies, right? So we're all closet geeks and we're into anime and so on and so forth. And we just happened to be hanging out one day, and the wife goes, "What is it you do for a living again?" And I run it past her, and she goes, "Honey, he needs to talk to your mom." And his mom was going through a little bit of a financial headache, and she was the steward of a roughly $50 million family foundation that she needed help with. And it wasn't me going in and doing a pitch. It wasn't me going in and saying, "Hey, I have this financial pedigree, and I used to work on Wall Street when I came fresh out of college, and I'm this brainy." It was me being a real person and presenting real solutions to their real problems.
I like it. Meeting them where they are, speaking the language, and
being able to find commonalities.
Yeah. No, I feel that way as a teacher or just building relationships.
Absolutely.
That common bond, common interest.
Like I think about the best teachers I've had in my life, and it was the ones who were able to find a commonality. And being a kid from Brooklyn, my teachers didn't look like me most of the time, and I had that wall up until I sat down and I had a conversation with them, and they were able to find something, whether it be music or like pop culture or any number of things that they use to bridge that gap.
We'll get right into it then. Where'd you go to school, and do you have a favorite teacher, and who is it and why?
Wow. So I went to school, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Went to Brooklyn College for my undergraduate degree in psychology. And for high school, I went to a high school for medical professions called Clara Barton High School. And one of my favorite teachers is Stephen Danziger. Shout out to you, Mr. D, or Dr. D now.
Is he still around? You still in contact?
Yeah, so he's no longer teaching. He actually works in social services and rehab out in California. And
you're going to send him the podcast?
Oh, I believe he listens. We reconnected on LinkedIn a couple of years ago. And, just amazing dude. He was actually a drummer for a band called Maggie Estep and I Hate Everybody. I don't know if you remember Maggie Estep. But he
Wait, that was the full title of the band?
Maggie Estep
and I Hate Everybody?
Yeah, so he was their drummer. And I remember when I was in my, it wasn't senior year, maybe I was like in 10th grade, and he was on the Arsenio Hall show. And it was broadcast, and I remember me and like a bunch of other students staying up to watch him on Arsenio Hall.
Dr. D. Yeah. Danziger, that's cool.
Yeah, just an amazing dude. But I've had the benefit of having some really great teachers. Like even some of my grad school professors and I are still in contact, and we'll email each other or shoot each other text messages. I've been blessed to have people who like just guided me along the right path, or like grabbed me by the back of my collar when I was headed down the wrong path, and like going, nah, son, don't go there, don't do that.
No, you need those people in your corner.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, same thing with fatherhood. Like, people look at me and go, "Oh my God, you're such a great dad." I said, "No, I'm a knucklehead who had the benefit of a good blueprint." Like, my dad, was very active with me, and it was very important for him to have conversations with me, and to share information with me. And I try to do the same with my kids, and I try to do the same with kids who aren't my kids. I do a lot of panels and a lot of mentoring and so forth. And, because I got a lot of stuff rattling around in my noggin that I figure I should let out.
Do you have difficulties going to sleep at night because you have so many things on your mind?
You know what? I'm very good about getting to bed. Now, especially now, like, there have been times in my life where I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. And it's to the point now where if I'm sitting there watching something with my kids, and if I'm not like actively like on a podcast or at an event or something like that, if I'm just like sitting on the couch, I'll get the poke, "Dad, you're snoring. Go upstairs to bed." And we're talking like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. But my brain is always going. But I've learned, like, through meditation and trying to center myself, I'm pretty good about keeping the noise down to a minimum.
So I'm excited that our girls were friends and in the multiple classes together, a couple classes during elementary school, and they went to different middle schools. They'll be back together at Connor next year. And we had Vicky over for I want to say like a 10th birthday sleepover. They made aprons and cooked, and just a wonderful kid. So it shows, as a teacher and as seeing kids around, not to judge, but you could say, hey, good parents or good father, good. And then we saw each other around town, and I used to see you at open houses. You had a full suit. Yeah. Fresh suits, too. Who's your suit guy?
Yeah, so it's funny, because when it comes to, like, actually picking up the suits, I generally do, like, a Joseph Bank, right? Gotcha. Like, I don't spend a ton on the suit. What makes a difference for me is the tailoring, and I had a guy that I used to take all of my suits to, and he's in a little plaza dry cleaner in Newington, and he's been doing my suits since I moved to Connecticut, and he just does amazing. He's actually Top Plus. Let's give him a quick shout out. Top Plus Cleaners in Newington, and he doesn't even have a changing room. He has like a little cordoned off area in the back of the dry cleaner, and you go there. He does all your measurements, and his work is phenomenal.
Yeah,
A1.
I had Esquire down across from Pepe's Pizza. They just moved.
Yeah.
Yusuf was there. He was my tailor. I'm a weird fit kind of guy where 2X is too big hair, but 1X is not short hair. So I get the 2X. This is actually a tailored hoodie. I'm going on record. Full disclosure. This is a tailored hoodie. I don't know if that's a thing, but being my shape.
Yeah.
So shout out to Yusuf and.
No, I get it. It's like, when you're tall and lean, like my kid brother, I used to tease him and say he had orangutan arms because he's tall, he's lean, and he works out a lot, so he has like the V shape.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like almost impossible to find pants that fit him. If you buy shirts that fit his upper body, the arms are generally too short.
Yep.
I used to say
That's
he could scratch the bottom of his feet without bending over because his arms are that long.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so we have connections. We go way back. Do you remember? So this is the chamber. You got this? So we got an ad in the chamber, and then if you open it up, I post-it noted, page 15.
Oh,
you remember
there you
that
go.
or no?
Yeah, that was from the holiday party.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Irene and her damn donuts.
So everyone's like, look at this guy, Chris, dressed nice. And then there's you wearing a hat. And I'm like, and there's no context that this is a Christmas party.
Right.
But I'm like, dressed in the Clarke Griswold hockey with the moose cup from Cousin Eddie from National Lampoon. And it was like, who shows up like that? This dude, fresh suit. Again, well-fitted suit. Look at that.
Yeah, that's back when the world was open,
Dave,
right?
come on now, Dave.
That's back.
Do you know who that is? Who's that?
I'm not sure. Who is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we made the book.
But that was back when the world was open, and I used to dress like. It's funny, because I was really trying to remember. Actually, I wore a suit to the Park Road Parade, and I think that was the first time I'd put on a suit in a very, very long time.
Were you like an honoree with the chamber?
Yeah, I was just working the table with the chamber.
Yeah.
I didn't march because I was like, I'm not walking.
Yeah, so we know each other from the West Hartford Chamber of Commerce, and in addition to our girls being friends, and I was just like, always wanted to connect and always knew you were doing great things.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
So dad of 3, podcast, financial guy, anything else? Wu-Tang fan.
Oh, huge Wu-Tang fan.
So if you notice the shirt, it says Friends on the bottom.
Of course, but you got to represent for Friends if you're doing Friends of Feeney.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Right? And much like ODP, Feeney is for the children.
For the children.
He's for the children.
For the children.
So I had to rock the Wu-Tang shirt.
Yeah. Friends of Feeney's for the children, and Wu-Tang's for the children.
It just goes hand in hand.
And you're from the Brooklyn Zoo.
Brooklyn Zoo. Yes.
Shimmy, shimmy, y'all. I don't know how many lyrics we can get out without getting a beep or two as a third grade teacher, but huge Wu-Tang fan. I was actually in New York City, rest in peace, when old DB passed away, and I remember hearing it in a taxi, and I was just like, it was just, that was my guy.
Yeah. So ODB story. I was at the Wu-Tang show where ODB escaped rehab, where he performed at the Hammerstein Ballroom. So me and my buddies, we got tickets to the show. Wu-Tang shows up late, as always. We're in the audience, and we're all lamenting, like, oh man, who's gonna do ODB's parts? Or are they just gonna cut out his lyrics? And then you get to like all of the songs that he's doing, and ODB comes out. We're like, oh my God, ODB. He goes, yeah, I gotta go. 5-0's looking for me. And we're like, oh, ODB, he's so funny. Next day, cover of the New York Daily News, Old Dirty Bastard performs live at Hammerstein Ballroom under the nose of NYPD. So he was in court-ordered rehab and had escaped, performed in the show, and then he got arrested like 2 weeks later at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania signing autographs. The guy was a wild
We went
man.
to Toad's to see him, and 12 o'clock. Where's old Dirty? 12:30, 1 o'clock. Old Dirty. Finally, like, we're gonna refund your money. He's not coming. And I'm like, should have known better. But I saw Raekwon the chef at Toad's, and he has a line. It's like, lick shot, peace, Connecticut. Yeah. And everyone's like, we were waiting for that moment to yell. Everyone at Toad's like, peace, Connecticut. We said it with Raekwon right here in my face. It was like, and then Wu-Tang and Rage Against the Machine did a crazy concert
I heard
in
that was
Hartford.
amazing.
Yep. They were like ripping up the grass, throwing grass. They kicked on the walls. They lit it on fire.
Oh my God.
I like snuck down and Method Man jumped in the crowd, and I'm like surfing Method Man. So it was just like huge Wu-Tang fan.
They actually, I don't know if it's passed yet, but they had like a 3 Chambers concert.
College Street in New Haven.
Yeah.
I think that's coming up, or it happened maybe this past weekend.
Yeah, I was thinking about going to that.
But episode 2, a kid that I was a senior counselor for LEAP in New Haven.
Yep.
And I had a group of 10-year-olds, and I'm still in contact with him. He's 32 now. His nickname's Chicken, but his real name's Reggie. His son, Justice, plays Randy on the show.
Oh.
And we're going to try to, Randy's going to come up and be a podcast guest someday.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Justice. But he plays Riz's little brother. And he's like, out of the first season, he's in like 5 episodes. But he has a couple lines, a couple parts. It's really cool to see. He still lives in New Haven. He travels into New York to do the show. So I was like, that got me interested in watching.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh man, like, brings you back, the Wu-Tang. Like I said earlier, when they finally got their first song played, it was like a Friday night, and like Raekwon, the character, jumps up, and the excitement, and Raekwon and Riz are upstairs, and the crew are downstairs, and you could see the enjoyment, and like, we finally made it. Because they worked hard, and it's they had a whole new concept that was...
It's basically the soundtrack to my high school years. Like if I think about, because around the time, it was really interesting, because growing up in Brooklyn, and like nobody really paid attention to Staten Island. It's like, whatever, Staten Island. And I had a really good friend, my buddy Jamel, who lived in Staten Island at the time. And it's so funny, like, the mentality, because he was a huge fan of these guys, Black Moon.
Oh yeah, I like them too.
And so I grew up on like the same block as the dudes from Black Moon. And he's like, oh, like I love Black Moon. I'm like, yeah, they're all right. But Wu-Tang is amazing. He's like, yeah, Wu-Tang's all right, but Black Moon. So
Where was
like,
Black Moon from?
Black Moon's from
Buckshot Shorty.
Buckshot Shorty. Yeah. Buckshot, like I grew up on Union Street in Brooklyn, on Franklin Ave. You'll hear like Black Moon, a couple of the rap groups shouting out FAP, Franklin Ave Posse. So Buckshot grew up on, like, if I grew up on one side of the street, he was on the other side. Dead Prez, I don't know if you're familiar with them. Yep. They had an apartment across the street from me for a while. Special Ed, I don't know if you remember the rapper Special Ed.
What year are you? I'm 96.
No,
are you 94?
94.
Okay.
94.
So yeah, 94 is like the best year of hip hop ever. That was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
Like, Biggie, Mobb Deep, Nas, Wu-Tang.
Man, just amazing music and amazing stories, man. Like just, the stuff you saw. Like I remember listening to an interview with a guy by the name of LP from Run the Jewels, and LP is also Brooklyn dude, and he said one of the things that he realized going out in the world is growing up in New York is not necessarily growing up in the United States. Like the things you see and you experience as a kid in New York are completely different from what your colleagues and peers are going through in their lives. Like even for me moving here, like one of the biggest things that really came to mind for me was even the racial divide. Like you absolutely have gentrified and racially homogenous neighborhoods in New York, and you have people who just stay in their neighborhoods and don't go any further. But if you're a working adult, you're gonna come across people who aren't like you. And you're gonna work in a place where there aren't people like you. And then coming to Connecticut, and it was really wild for me, especially like the divide between blacks and Latinos in Connecticut. That was huge, because like growing up where I grew up, it was like, oh, Latinos are just black people who talk funny. Like we were all of the same ilk. And if I think about like some of my best friends, growing up, and particularly like once I got to college and my world expanded a bit. Like I went to Brooklyn College, and you would see, a Palestinian kid and a Jewish kid, Israeli Jewish kid sitting across from each other, and maybe they're debating politics, but it's all love, because we listen to the same music and we hang out in the same spots, and you had that. And then moving up here, it was like, everybody was very much in their own places, and like even the idea of being in Hartford after dark was taboo. Like my coworkers used to lose their mind that I would walk through Hartford at night.
You're like, I'm from Brooklyn.
Yeah, that was basically. I'm like, son, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm 6'1", and I have a background in martial arts. Like, I'm good. I'm good. And I never had an incident. Like, the one incident I ever had walking, because I lived in the Clemens Place Apartments on Farmington Avenue when I first moved up here. And I would walk from there to like my classes at UConn downtown, back in their old campus downtown. And one night, maybe about 2 blocks away from my house, and this guy comes out of an alley. It's maybe about like 9:30, 10 o'clock. He comes out of the alley. So I stop and I look at him. He goes, "What are you looking at?" I say, "Yo, my man, you just came out of a dark alley at 10 o'clock at night. I'm gonna watch you." He goes, "That makes sense." "Hey, you got some change so I can get on the bus?" And I went in my pocket and I fished out 75 cents. I put it in his hand, and like clockwork, the bus pulls up. He gets on, he waves to me, and goes about his business. And that was my horrifying Hartford story.
Right.
That was my horrifying Hartford
You're like,
story.
let me explain this to you from my point of view.
Right.
You just walked out of an alley.
At 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, come on, this is like a bad scene out of Batman. Come on, bro.
That is great. Yeah. But true. No, I feel like I can't make any comparisons, but Waterbury, we met.
Dirty water.
Try to mention it every show, so you gave me the opportunity. But Waterbury had, I wouldn't say like a New York City feel. Again, I wasn't there, but I could feel with like diversity and friends that I hung out with. We didn't, we were just friends with whoever, we're close with. Again, that common bond. Do you play basketball? Do you like rap? Do you like hanging out? Do you want to play video games? Well, we're gonna hang.
Hey. You once again, you find that commonality, and then, like, I even think about the West Hartford Chamber, right? Like, why are all of us here? You have a bunch of people from different backgrounds, different socioeconomical experiences, different racial experiences, but at the end of the day, we just want to do more and better business. And it's about finding those commonalities and those bridges to help the people around you do more and better business. So, that's kind of one of the other hats I'm wearing is I'm the current chairman for the Minority Business Network through the West Hartford Chamber. And it was created with that in mind. It's like, when I first moved to Connecticut, I had people coming up to me going, "Buddy, you need to join the West Hartford Chamber." So we're talking 20 years in the making. People going, "Oh, you need to go to West Hartford Chamber. You need to do business in the West Hartford Chamber." And at the time, like, I wasn't in client-facing roles, so I was like, it's really not necessary for me. But also, my mental picture of what a Chamber of Commerce looked like was not someplace I wanted to spend my time. I was like, listen, I don't want to be in a room with a bunch of stodgy people. Like, I got nothing in common with. I'm good. And then I started showing up. Fast forward, 15 years later.
How long have you been a member?
Oh God, maybe even 16 years. So maybe I think I've been a member for about 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. So I haven't been active with the chamber very long. But it was through invitation of one of my buddies who was part of another networking group, and he said, "Hey, I'm doing something for the chamber," and actually Aaron Bohemian. Aaron introduced me and invited me to a chamber event, and from there, I showed up. And one of the interesting things was I was always the last person in the room for chamber events because, I'm single parenting, co-parenting, but my days are my days. And it would happen that I was doing drop-off for all 3 of my girls when the chamber meetings were taking place. So I'd come running in, and just after everybody had done their 30-second commercials, I was the last guy standing in the doorway. So I was always the closer for the meetings. So it was constantly that juggle in trying to get things done while trying to get my daddy stuff done. But
I'm a huge supporter and forever indebted and grateful to the West Hartford Chamber. Meeting Dave, this led to the podcast. Most of our podcast guests are from the chamber. Just a great network and a great community.
Oh, absolutely, man, absolutely.
And you're the chair of the minority business?
Yeah. So
how many chairs are there? Or
so I'm the one chair. I'm chair and one of the founders of the Minority Business Network. Also, sitting on the executive committee for the West Hartford Chamber. But if I think about like where the Minority Business Network came from, that desire to see people doing more and better business, but also seeing like the West Hartford Chamber was very homogenous in its membership, right? So I'll share the story that was really like one of the kickoffs, and it was a situation where, if you're a member of the chamber, you can do the 5-minute presentation, and one of the members had put together a 5-minute presentation video, and it was an awesome video, right? Like it was well shot, it was well written, well put together, and it was one of the members talking about the service he provides and how his service interacts with so many other services in the neighborhood, and how he provides, because of those connections in that network, he provides a unique service for his clients. And somebody leaned up to me during the presentation, goes, "Hey, yo, they don't know any black people?" And I go, "You notice there's no women in that either, right?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't think about it." I said, "Neither did they. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't malicious. But people do business with people they like, and people will make it easy for them to do business, right? And very often, we like people who remind us of ourselves." And so what happens is, in putting that video together, there was it wasn't malicious, it wasn't, racially motivated, it wasn't spiteful, but those just happen to be the friends that, this person chose to put in his video. And it brought the idea to the forefront that, like, without intentionality, you're not going to get that diversity and you're not going to get that representation. And so, I end up having a conversation with, Chris Conway, who was the executive director, and I said, "Hey, Chris, I'm kind of thinking of this thing. And, it's an intentional and focused way to broaden our membership base and make it more diverse." And Chris was like, "I'll put that in front of the executive committee." And, like, we literally had that conversation, I think, on a Wednesday afternoon, and then Thursday night he came to me, he says, "Tuesday morning I need you to come and tell everybody what it was you told me." And so Tuesday morning I'm sitting in front of, basically the board of directors for the West Hartford Chamber of Commerce, and pitching them this idea for this minority business network that would shine the light and provide opportunities for business owners and professionals of color doing business in our town.
That's so cool. You're the catalyst behind this whole thing.
Yeah, kind of,
Cheers to that. Which one we cheers into?
Let's go
Do
with
the
the
Mo?
Mo.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers,
Again,
man.
named after the dogs here. Man, doing wonderful things, continuing to do wonderful things. You're the chair of the Minority Business Network. I got it down here. So you're the chairman of the Connecticut chapter of Bank of America Black Professionals Group.
Yep.
Board of Directors of the Urban League of Greater Hartford, Executive Board of the West Hartford Chamber of Commerce, Chair of the Chamber of Commerce Minority Business Network. I already said that one. You're a busy man.
Yeah. So that's also why I don't have a problem sleeping, because by the time the day is done, I'm done. I'm spent. Which is also why my dating life sucks too.
I mean, but got 3 good girls.
That's it.
You go to sleep at night. You're doing good for the community. I mean, you're not on a award-winning podcast right now.
Dude.
Hello, Feeney Talks with Friends.
Listen, man, I just wanted to come hang out with you. That's what it's.
This is another long overdue.
Absolutely, and it's so funny because, like, I don't know if you know how well received you are, right? But like, I'm in my house and I'm like, yeah. It's like, where you going? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go hang out with Mr. Feeney. Really? What are you going to hang out with Mr. Feeney? It's like, he has a podcast. Why does he want you on there? It's like, Mr. Feeney's cool, you not so much. I'm like, yo, bro, like, no respect. None.
Listen, I knew this was going to be off-site. We're going to have beers. I was like, I have to have Chris Clarke. Because we were like not going to do it this week because it was busy.
Yeah.
And he was traveling from like New Haven to Madison. And where'd you go today, Dave? Hartford?
New Haven, Madison, Waterbury tomorrow.
I was going to say the Berry.
No. Are you originally from Waterbury, Dave?
Nah.
Oh,
He could run Waterbury now because he's been hanging out with me for 32 episodes, so it's almost like he's from Waterbury. He's heard of too much.
Yeah, and it's funny because like all my friends from New York think I make up the names because I'm like, yeah, Dirty Water, gun waving New Haven,
hard hitting New Britain.
They're like, yo, what?
What are you talking about?
Yo, you're making this up. I'm like, no, in the heartbeat.
The heartbeat.
They're like, yo,
WeHa.
WeHa.
I was like, all right.
WeHa.
That
We
one
got you
took me
all
a
in
while
check.
to get. I was like, I'm not calling it WeHa.
Oh,
Never. There's stickers and bumper stickers. No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, you have people who
No,
are
it's like WeHa.
die hard. I refuse to call it WeHa.
All right, let me just plug up an event. What minute are we so we know here?
If I had to guess,
40 minutes with Feeney?
45-ish.
So this is a cool collaborative event on Saturday, December 4th. We're going to be at Lions Auto at 1056 New Britain Avenue from 1 to 4. We are collaborating with the Journey Home. We're going to collect furniture for people that unfortunately are homeless. We're going to collect food for the Connecticut Food Bank. And we're doing bottles and cans. So we have 3 wonderful things. And if you ever go by 1056 on New Britain Avenue, you could see our mural. So we have these murals, we have these magnets. We really push to be a good friend. Here, take one, please. Put it on your car,
absolutely.
your fridge. Pick up the trash, hold the door, be a good friend, give a compliment. But that Lions Auto, Amy at Lions Auto was really cool enough. We had Ash Royer, she painted the mural, so you could see it coming down from Wolcott. It's going to be Saturday, December 4th. So we're going to have a food truck, Iron and Grain already. They're going to be providing the food. We have 06 and a jazz band. My former student Dominic and his friends are going to be playing jazz music. We're going to have, again, we're doing cans and bottles, food, furniture. So we have like a wonderful event on December 4th, all thanks to Lions Auto. Lions Auto is a great spot. I saw this, so we missed, Friends of Feeney missed, like, they were doing all the cement barriers downtown so you can eat. And so they extended the street and they had a whole community paint day. And I'm like, man, I just want my magnet on there one time.
Oh, absolutely.
So driving, and I'm like, you know what, Lions Auto? Let me just pop in and see. Amy, super cool, was like, absolutely. We'll put it on there. So Jim Schultz painting, primed and painted it. And then Ash Royer, Ash Arts, came up and spray painted it. And it was really cool.
That's dope, man. And I'm absolutely going to throw this on the back of my beat up vehicle.
Yes.
And
no, it's like people say, here, take another one.
No.
If you're gonna, they have one in the fridge over there. You see it on WeHa Roasting and Brewing.
Oh, they got it up on the wall too? Oh.
They had an interview with the Hartford Current, and they like took their picture, and I'm like, I see it off to the right. The magnet made the current.
There you go. Listen, no such thing as bad publicity, man.
Right. So just wonderful community. Just again, Journey Home. They're gonna help. They're looking for end tables, kitchen tables, pots and pans, bath towels, and small kitchen tables.
And absolutely, if you have that as a PDF or a flyer, like just like a JPEG flyer, send it to me. I'll absolutely shoot that on my Instagram, and I'll put it up on my LinkedIn too.
Ooh, nice. So yeah, we just did the Facebook event on this. I'll invite you, and I'll do the JPEG and all that. That'd be great. Again, my color copies are out, but so December 4th, great event, and I'm gonna plug another one. The following Saturday.
Go for it.
So my daughter was like, I can't believe you did black background and red. It looks like a murder scene. Why would you do that? Why didn't you show me to do that? So
Tell her don't go on my Instagram because that's 90% of what I post.
And then a lot of print. But be a good friend. This is the second year we did this. So we do a toy drive for the Wolcott Caring Schools Committee, and we're going to be collecting toys and board games. And we're doing it with collaboration at Sock Stars. Sock Stars is on 18 LaSalle Road. Sock Stars, and that's going to be the following Saturday, December 11th, 1 to 4, over at 18 LaSalle Road. Second year in a row. Again, we're collecting toys. It's the Be a Good Friend toy drive. There will be 10% off every sock and 20% off. We have Friends of Feeney socks it was a sock contest. Allie, senior in high school, won the sock contest. They're pretty cool. You should definitely get your girls for Christmas.
she designed them?
She's a diver. She's like killing it in the diving. She wins every diving award, but she also is an artist. So their socks are there. There's like 60 pairs left, so it'd be great if you bought them up. And so December 11th, Caring Schools. Yeah, we're trying to do a board game initiative where kids, and families should play more board games together.
Yeah.
And, put the phones away, engage, argue over Park Place, Baltic Ave, who's the thimble, who's the sailboat or the race car.
I'm laughing because my ex-wife would absolutely co-sign that, and I was like, "There's a reason they call them board games. You're bored playing them."
Because they're.
It's like, let's get digital Monopoly.
Do you see now they have it with a credit card? The
Oh,
kids
yeah.
don't even have to count cash anymore. They just ching ching.
What?
And I'm like, really? You took? How are you gonna cheat? How are you gonna sneak another extra 100 every time you go past? Go.
Listen, that's 90% of the game. Dude, do you know how many fist fights I saw break out over Monopoly as a kid? Like, somebody just gets upset and turns the entire board over.
No, my wife, still to this day, my wife and I played against my sister-in-law and her husband, my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And, they were like playing, and all of a sudden she's like, Sam, I really want Park Place. This is a terrible impression, but she kind of, Sam, he just goes, hands it over. And I was like, oh no. And then Nicole and my wife and I are like at each other's throat collecting the $2 from Baltic Ave, and he just hands over Park Place.
Because he knows.
Right?
Listen, it's funny because that reminds me of something my dad always used to tell me. Just smile and nod, boy. Just smile and nod. And, and whenever people talk to me about oh, so, how'd you end up single? I said, well, I had enough of my dad in me to smile and nod. And I had enough of my mom in me that I go, you know what?
Smile and nod.
Smile and nod. That's the takeaway from this episode. Smile and nod, dude.
If we give it a title, it'll be Smile and Nod. So again, we're on 141 Shield Street. Come on, man, catch up, man.
I'm here nursing.
Tasters here.
I'm
Who
sitting
brought this guy? Are you from Brooklyn or not?
Oh, wow. Wow. All right.
There's a Brooklyn brewery.
Oh, yeah. Which is funny. That's on Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn, a couple blocks away from where I grew up. I've never been. I've had their beer, but I've never been.
Well, it shows. Let's go. So 141 Shield Street, and check this flag out. What do you think about that?
That's pretty dope, man.
Right? So it's a...
Who designed it? Do you know?
Yep. My buddy's a Waterbury cop, and he does this in his spare time to really relax and decompress. But he uses pallets, like used pallets you find on the side of the road, and he puts them together and he makes flags. So we have one for Direct Line Media has one, Donut Crazy has one, and he made a big one for WeHa Roasting and Brewing.
Hey, can we give a quick shout out to Donut Crazy? Irene, when she joined the chamber, I was her designated ambassador because I used to be part of the ambassador committee. And it was funny because they were like, oh, we can't reach her. I said, well, what's her story? Oh, well, she's got 3 kids. I said, she got 3 kids, man. Like, listen, you got to catch her when she's ready to be caught. And
3 girls, too.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, I always give her a hard time. Because anytime I go in there, it's either she is, to the wall, nuts, busy, or she's gone doing mommy stuff, right?
Yeah,
There's no in between. There's no happy medium. But she's just so dope and just so driven and just an awesome, awesome person.
No, episode 10, Irene, she, come to find out, is from Centerville, Cape Cod, the same place I've been going my whole life with my aunt that lives there. We go to a Penny Candy. She's has been to the Penny Candy. We had our best fundraiser to date it was like March, it was like a week before COVID really hit. One of the best fundraisers. We had celebrity servers. We raised money for just a good cause. There's actually a house fire for a King Philip family. I think we raised $6,000.
Oh, yeah, I recall that, yeah.
And just, wonderful, wonderful person.
6,000 at just Donut Crazy?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
two and two.
Yeah.
So, 2, maybe it was, it was a lot. 2,000 then. Because we already gave 2,000 and then we got another 2,000. But that family got 6,000.
Yeah.
But that was key component to the entire fundraising. And then we just celebrated episode 30, which was a huge, I guess, milestone. Dave Pylon came on, and we had Irene show up with donuts and her daughters in a super cute video in episode 30, and then Matt Whitney came with whiskey.
Oh.
It was like a $900 bottle of whiskey.
Wow.
We drank some. It was
Damn
it was
it.
pretty cool.
So I missed the whiskey tasting.
You're in for the
Yeah, listen.
WeHa Roasting and Brewing. Good stuff.
Salute.
All right, you brought up Donut Crazy. Donut Crazy is a sponsor. Donut Crazy is sponsoring Crazy Questions. Is the camera on, Chris?
Ooh, crazy questions.
Put it on, Chris. Crazy Questions.
Yeah, thanks, Irene.
All right. Would you rather eat a donut with pizza, or would you rather eat 100 donuts with 1,000 sprinkles?
A donut with pizza.
Yeah.
Because pizza, anything.
Anything goes on pizza. Would you rather have a super cool cardboard hideout or have an uncool non-cardboard hideout?
I'd rather have a super cool cardboard hideout.
Yes. So that's makerspace. Makerspace is when you make things out of cardboard and duct tape.
Yeah.
We just had a makerspace event. Have you seen that we're going to do 5 questions with Feeney? 5 questions with Feeney. We went around at the makerspace event thanks to Owen. Shout out to Owen, my man. And we asked kids, we asked 5 questions, but it was at Elmwood Community Center. It was the Global Cardboard Day of Play. It was just a great time. So this is Gus, and he was there, so really cool.
So these are questions submitted by kids?
Kids.
Oh, awesome.
I forgot to mention that too. So crazy questions from kids, sponsored by Donut Crazy.
Because Chris Clarke is for the children.
Chris Clarke is for the children. Would you rather be rich or be a famous explorer?
I would rather be rich. I discovered at a very young age that I have the disposition for wealth, not for fame.
Oh, okay. All right. And that's what led you into being the Freckled financial phenom? Or no?
Actually, that's another interesting story, how I got into finance. So I was in my senior year of college, working on my degree in psychology. I was training in Wing Chun Kung Fu. So I've been at that for maybe about 4 or 5 years. And one of the guys I trained with was like, you have this really great way of taking these complex concepts, distilling them into plain English, and making people feel like they've been at home. You'll be great at what I do. And, he's a dude who was older than me and the guy I really respected. I said, wow, man, like, I'm flattered, but I'm gonna be a shrink. I'll see you next class. And he goes, no. Look, meet me for lunch. And I'm a college student, and lunch was free, so I was down. So it was like, all right, let's get together. We got together, we had lunch, and there's a bunch of people running around. They're talking in jargon I don't understand. They're all super excited. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? He goes, oh, I'm a stockbroker. I go, oh, like that movie Wall Street. Cool. I'm gonna be a shrink. I'm gonna see you next class. And he goes, no, before you leave, let me show you something. He goes in his desk drawer and he pulls out his commission run, right? And I'm looking it over and I'm trying to make heads or tails of this thing. I go, all right, so this is all the money you brought in this month. He goes, yeah. I said, but your firm takes half of that. He goes, yeah. I said, and then like the government takes another half of that. He goes, yeah. I said, wait, so this bottom line number is what you made? He goes, yeah. So he made like 18 grand. And we're talking 1990s money, right? So he made 18 grand for the month. And I was like, all right, Mom, Dad, I'm gonna finish my degree and I'll go to work with him. And I never looked back. I went to work at a small Wall Street firm right out of college, and I've been in finance ever since. And it's funny because like to this day, like I'm still in contact with the dude. He's left the industry, but he absolutely a dude who helped shape my life and point me in the right direction.
It really just takes that one person to give you a little nudge in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And that confidence. That's all you need to go into an interview or to pursue something. You're like, he believes in me.
Dude,
This
like,
guy's cool. I'll do it.
I say it to kids all the time, man. Like, in order to be a thing, you have to see a thing or you have to conceive a thing, right? Like, you got to see it in practice, see somebody doing it, and you go, oh, I can do that. Or you go, look at the world, there's this gap here that needs to be filled. I can create something to fill that gap. So it's one of those two, but it's usually with a little bit of a nudge from somebody who says, I believe in you, and you have the sense to do it. Like I think about like one of my really good buddies, and we talk about like even the idea of being an engineer, right? Like he is, a very high profile executive at one of our local engineering companies, and he says, like, I grew up in New York, and whenever somebody talked about engineers, I thought it was the dude who drove the train. It wasn't until I was preparing to go to college that I realized that engineering was a career path that I could take as a kid who kind of liked math. It took somebody pointing him in that direction. So I mean, once again, kudos to what you do, man. Is like, on a day-to-day basis, you're helping to shape these little minds and put them on the right path.
They're like teachers, there's so many, but teachers don't make a lot of money. We make a difference. We may not be an engineer, we may not be a lawyer, but we make engineers and lawyers.
Absolutely.
Or like, a kid goes on to be an art major because I believed in their artwork. I hang up, and a kid hands me art, and I'm like, this is amazing, and I hang it up, and I just share that passion. Or they write a story, I'm like, this is great. So that encouragement and just that, like that friendly nudge to go on to doing what you can do. So I'm in my...
Here's to being a good friend.
Yep. We got to get these guys out here. You want to holler at them? I think we need...
What, back there?
We'll do a couple more crazy questions, and then we're going to... Would you rather...
Let's see.
Would you rather eat an 8-foot pizza or a 10-foot donut? A lot of pizza and donuts.
Pizzas and donuts are the staple of child diets.
Right.
And I would say I would rather eat the 8-foot pizza.
Would you rather sniffle every night for the rest of your life, or would you rather sneeze for every night for the rest of your life?
I have a horrible post-nasal drip, so I'm constantly sniffling anyway. And no, it's not for that reason.
Would you rather eat McDonald's or Burger King? Ooh, this is a good one.
That's a good one. I would say McDonald's. Even though, like, I don't know, like, maybe it's just me. McDonald's does not taste as good as I remember it tasting as a kid.
No.
Yeah.
Let's go. Get in here.
Cody took off to go home, so.
Oh, you're in?
This is Monday night, so.
Would you rather eat Chick-fil-A or Burger King?
Oof.
Come in a little bit. How are we gonna get him in?
Chick-fil-A or Burger King? Here, go around there. Go sit. Here, give me that.
Come here.
And then walk around.
Actually, before you do that, you think you would get some shields going?
Yeah, some shields?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
That's Will. Will.
Thank you,
Here's
Will.
to Will. We're in WeHa Roasting and Brewing, 141 Shield Street. This is our first on-location podcast. I'm very excited, thanks to Dave. He set all this up in about 10 minutes. We're here. It's a beautiful place. You should check it out. I highly encourage anyone out there to check it out.
But they brought out the new location. They brought out the beer. Like, I feel like a celebrity out here.
Dave, beer? No, I'm good, man. Thank you.
It'd be great if we had that double IPA Shield Street. That was like, I mentioned that like 5 minutes into the podcast. I can't wait. Would you rather have to smell old rotten cheese or eat tuna?
Oh.
Ooh, smell rotten cheese.
I'll eat tuna. Oh, thank you so much.
Sure.
And you could sit right there, actually.
Yeah.
All right. And then we got to get a close-up of your shirt. Yeah. It's like he knew I was coming today or something.
Something like that.
Is he in?
Slide, get as close as you can.
Yeah.
Get cozy.
Come on, man. Get close. It's good.
My dude, Will. So, yeah, Will, I mean, what little history on these? So Shield Street.
Sure. Obviously, a little homage to the location. Kind of a little welcome to West Hartford. We wanted to do a little something that show respect for where we're going, where we're coming to, all that kind of thing, and kind of thank West Hartford for bringing us down. So
Mo and Low. Is it Mo and Low or Mo and O?
Mo and Low. So Cody, my business partner, and myself, we both have 2 dogs.
Right.
So I have a husky named Mosaic, after my favorite hop variety, and Cody has his dog Logan. So we exclusively hopped this beer with Mosaic and Amarillo hops, so we called it Mo and Low. It's just again, they were here for all the construction. They they kind of kept us going a little bit, so we're happy to have them here with us. So.
And then Gather.
Gather is what's called a German-style Kolsch. It's kind of lager-like in its character, so if you're a bud drinker, it's something a little more approachable that you'll be familiar with profile-wise. That beer was kind of designed strictly for the atmosphere and what we're trying to do with the space. We wanted to make it a focal point that what we're trying to do is get people in here, hanging out, get some work done, talking, be community-based, gather here in the space. The beer is a simple way to just kind of do that over the table. So.
And then we got the J Crumpet.
Is
that a J?
So the Crumpet Worthy is a collaboration we did with the brewery up in Windsor Locks, Lupoletto. Okay. If you haven't been up there, I highly recommend checking their space out. They do some really, really good style beers. So we brewed that for the Noah Webster Cask Fest that happened a few weeks back. So we brewed the cask version, had blackberry, thyme, and honey, local honey in it. Ooh. So we served that on what's called the hand engines, like an old traditional cask style pump beer. So all the carbonation comes from that hand pump. So it's pretty cool. It's a novel idea. You don't see too many breweries doing that anymore. So the base beer ended up here. So we kept.
Is there honey currently in this right now?
There's not, but the malts that are used in that are like a little on the sweeter side. So you could definitely get a little bit of that honey, kind of caramel, maybe a little toffee going in there as well.
Very cool.
How'd you get into this, man?
Oh man, so Eric knows his story. So a few friends of mine, we were all underaged. We were about the age 17. We realized that you didn't need to be 21 to purchase the ingredients to make beer. You just couldn't buy it once it was already alcohol. Right. So we started brewing beer at 17, 18, and one of my best friends, his parents let us brew it on their stove. So yeah, I won't say that it was good, but it did what we wanted to do and set me down a trail down this. I've been brewing for about 12 years now. So,
oh wow, that's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. I remember that's funny.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade that for the world. I love it, absolutely love it. So.
What is it, 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours to mastery?
Oh, that's what they say. I don't know. It might be a little more than that. Sleeping in your car, wherever you land after the brew days. So, but now it's a good time. Glad to be doing it now.
No, but dude, this is amazing stuff, man.
Thank you.
And I'm saying this to you as a dude who likes beer, but I'm like, meh. But I'm like, wow, this is tasty. This
all
is
distinctively different, which is the cool part to it. So.
And I love the space.
Thank you.
I love the space.
It's come a long way. It's finally starting to feel kind of comfortable in here now. So we're doing a few more tweaks. Got a few events coming up. Some things going on. We're trying to do like live music every Friday now. Maybe on
trivia every Wednesday.
Trivia every Wednesday. So we're trying to do a few things to kind of gather and get people in this space. We have a laundry list of board games and that kind of thing. Oh. So people can just come hang out.
Board games.
And we do have a kitchen planned. It's probably about a month out. We're going to have a full-service kitchen in here.
That's going to be dope.
In the breakfast time, we'll be doing like breakfast bowls and burritos and that kind of thing. And then pivot to like finger foods and some small plates for dinner time.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, really excited
That's awesome.
Really excited. We're working in conjunction with a gentleman by the name of Andrew Brown. He owns a fire brick oven place up in Northampton, Mass. Okay. And he's slowly kind of trying to work his way down here and do something in the West Hartford area. So we're hoping we can kind of be his segue into the area. He's a very, very talented chef.
Well, he needs to holler at the West Hartford Chamber of Commerce.
Just let him know. He'll be down.
Where's the kitchen going to go?
So it's actually, for the most part, done at this point. So it's behind us here, behind the coffee bar. Need a few more final pieces to be installed, a good deep cleaning, and a couple people to come on board and finish working it out. But no, it should be done in a few weeks. So we're pretty much there. So just smaller kitchen. It's enough for what we have here, but it should be more than enough for what we have here. So.
How's the Shield Street Double IPA coming along?
Oh, I'm excited for it.
Is it going to be your first double IPA?
So it'll be the first double release. Yeah. So it's a double dry hopped version of Shield Street. So the ABV, everything like that stayed the same. We've literally doubled the hops that are in it. So I think my math is correct. It ends up being about 9 pounds per barrel, which is about 9 pounds per keg. Or 2 kegs, every 2 kegs.
So you can
that's a lot.
You can call it a double IPA, but the alcohol per volumes can stay the same?
So it's what's called a double dry hop. So it's not a double IPA, it's a single IPA that's been hopped twice. With the regular amount of what a normal IPA would be. We do have a double IPA coming out though. It's right behind the double dry hop Shield Street. It's a single hop Nelson IPA. So if you're not familiar with Nelson, the hop variety is grown in the Sauvignon Blanc region of New Zealand. Okay. So over time, the hop has actually taken on like characteristics of the Sauvignon Blanc grape. So it kind of has like a lot of similar gooseberry, that bright, real intense acidity kind of thing. So I love using that hop. So I'm really, really excited for that beer to be coming down the pipeline.
So basically, this is your chemistry set.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm lucky enough to have this place to play around in. And Cody, my business partner, is really good about kind of going, okay, man, do your Willy Wonka stuff and make some beer happen.
But I laugh. That's where you find the greatest partnerships, right? Like, I was alluding to like conversation with my ex-wife, or like even as I do things for the Minority Business Network, or even in my day-to-day job, right? The best relationships come from delegation of duty versus duplication of effort.
Absolutely right.
Right.
Absolutely
So you find somebody, like, I know for me, like, I'm a great macro thinker and a big picture guy, and I surround myself with people who are great at execution.
Right.
So I can go, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I need to do, this is my idea. And, Steve King, who you had on, Steve, like, are we really doing this, Clarke? For real, we doing this? I don't think we, Steve, man, but listen.
If we do it.
And we do it well, and then Ja chimes in and is like, okay, well, Javille John, who you had on as well, Ja comes on and Ja goes, okay, well, we need to do this and this and this, and we need to get that in place. I said, see, look.
And look what happens after.
Look what happens. I just let you guys hash it out.
No,
you let me do what I do, and I let you do what you do, and we come together, we make amazing stuff.
Although I can't take away from he is equally creative. He is the coffee roaster side of the business, so he does have a lot of the experimentation, a lot of playing around. He's got a lot of stuff he's playing with too. So, but it is a good partnership. I describe it all the time as I'm a dog chasing the ball, and he's the one who's constantly reminding me that sometimes the ball goes into the highway. Maybe don't chase the ball.
But you need that. Yeah. You need that, man. You absolutely need that. And you can even hear it, like, as you talk about, like, the energy.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so amazing.
Yeah.
It's
So
amazing.
we got a good thing going. We're excited for it. So.
Yeah, no, and I'm sitting here, like, having gone through these testers, about to dive into this. You guys make some amazing product, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
No, I agree. So good.
We're working on it.
Let's talk about that shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Show the shirt.
Friends of
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
We're actually going to be working with this guy on doing a beer here for Friends of Feeney beer. So
Ooh.
we have
Exclusive.
Yep.
Exclusive.
Exclusive joints.
We haven't figured out exactly what we're doing yet, but
Be a good friend
it's
beer.
in the works.
Will it be green, though?
It'll probably be.
Let's talk about the board concept. I love that idea.
Yeah. So we like the idea of paying it forward and kind of doing something different for everyone else. So behind us, you see the chalkboard. So eventually what we're going to be able to do is kind of have like, you come in here, your buddy's in here, or if you're not your buddy, you buy them a drink, you buy them a beer. First responder, buy a first responder a beer. Then we know when somebody comes in, a first responder, they've already got a beer paid for from somewhere else, just a way to pay it forward, do something a little different.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
We actually are also working on a first responders beer as well, down the pipeline, and then we want to be able to use those beers to fuel projects. So we want to go to the ambulance department, AMR, or whoever's local to the area, and go, what's one piece of equipment that you need? Make it pointed, and we can provide, hopefully at the end of the sale of that beer, a piece of equipment or something that would work for them. They've been lacking, they didn't have the funds for, that we could bring about. So,
Dude, that'd be amazing.
All wonderful ideas. No, you'll see a Chris Clarke beer next time you come in here. When the
That's it.
board's up, I'm going to buy you one. just to say episode 32, Chris Clarke.
That's what it'll say, just episode 32. You'll know.
Like, so the tall glass and it's bitter.
It's better than seeing it half empty, It's great.
No, this is exciting to be on location doing a
Happy to have
podcast with a good friend, Chris Clarke, and
Thanks.
Will, former podcaster. Episode 16, check it out. It's like full circle and
That's
just
cool.
all doing good things and just trying to help out. You're giving back to the front line. You're going to have be a good friend board. You put out a good product. The product speaks for itself.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And he mentioned it. You could see the passion is there for it. And he has the passion for finance
It's intense.
and podcasting and being a good dad and just being a good friend. And Minority Network is Ja and Steven on that?
Yeah, so John and Steve were absolutely integral to getting it off the ground, and they're active members, and and just spreading the word, man. And one of the great things is, like, it's been a great, like, I call it like an incubation chamber for the West Hartford Chamber, because what happens is, a lot of times as, a black or a brown person or a yellow person, like you walk into a room and you go, damn, there's nobody like me around
I'm
here.
the only one.
Right, I'm the only one. Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and you go, why am I the only one?
Yeah.
They don't support us, or they don't rock with us. And you draw your own conclusions. And through the Minority Business Network, what we found is, we're one of the few committees that's open to the public, so people just, can come in and participate virtually, like on our Zoom meetings, every other week, and they go, oh, okay, there are people who kind of look like me, and people who have analogous experiences to what I've experienced. And then they go, oh, wait, you're part of this larger organization, and this larger organization supports you and provides opportunities and highlights your business. Like, I use the example, like, I have the cell phone number to a state senator. I wouldn't have had that if I wasn't a member of the West Hartford Chamber of Commerce. Or, like, I have people who have seen some of the colorful conversations that we do through the West Hartford Chamber and have walked into bank branches in other states and gone, I know you have financial advisors attached to this bank branch locally. I want him. And have made that connection in that way. So the West Hartford Chamber has done amazing things for my profile, as a financial advisor. And realistically, like, people will walk up to me, and people who are members of the chamber go, oh my God, like, you must have been around for years. I'm like, I've been doing stuff with the chamber 3, maybe 4 years. I haven't been around that long.
Right.
But,
Well, back to the passion thing, you can tell you're excited about it and you're engaged about it, so you're trying to find ways to...
Exactly. And one of the things that, like, and this is just part of my personality. I've never been a dude that's like, oh, I've learned something and I'm just going to keep it close to the vest.
Right.
I'm like, yo, son, you need to be doing this thing, right? Like even Steve, like me and Steve King, that's how we became really cool. Was, I was one of the other black guys in the room, and Steve showed up and he goes, yo, man, like, you're going to be really well received. What are you doing? I was like, yo, this ambassador committee, this is what you need to be doing. And the way the committee worked was, you were the first line of contact for people who joined the West Hartford Chamber. So, if Eric joined the chamber, it was my job to call him, reach out to him, and, drop off like his new member packet. And it was kind of welcoming for Eric, because there was somebody that he could have a conversation with who wasn't necessarily chamber staff.
Right.
So if he had an issue or a problem or a concern, he could go, okay, buddy, give me the real scoop.
Right, let me know what's really going on.
Let me know what's really going on. How do I maximize this, right? Or, the fear you have when you join any organization that's, a paid membership. Okay, are they going to try and squeeze money out of me? Or, like real conversations. And, like Steve and I bonded over, what I was doing with the ambassador committee and him joining the ambassador committee, and, just really running with that ball and having the opportunity to just meet everybody who came on board. So, one of the positives was, like, for a lot of people, we were their first experience with the West Hartford Chamber. And the fact that they chose to stick around is kind of a pat on the back. Granted, meeting me, I don't know if I would have stuck around. Oh, man.
It's exciting. It's really cool stuff.
No, this is great, and I'm glad to connect to, doubled up, 16 plus 16 is 32.
32.
Oh, it's meant to be. It's meant
Bars.
to be.
Ladies
Bars.
and gentlemen, bars.
Wu-Tang.
Everything comes full circle. Everything comes full circle.
Can it be so simple?
Which is actually Victoria's favorite Wu-Tang song.
Oh, man.
Can it be?
Yeah, I did not know Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang?
Yeah.
That Ghost and Ray were not cool. That was great. I just learned that in the Hulu video, or the Hulu season 1 and 2. Did
Like,
you know that prior? No, right?
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I don't think it was as bad as they made it for the
Right,
show.
yeah.
But like they
more intense.
they made it really intense for the show, but in real life it was more like,
Well, different neighborhoods beefing.
Yeah,
They made it like he shot at his mom's house.
yeah. But it was just like, it was more like, yeah, nah, son. Like, we're gonna be in the same room, but I'm not gonna talk to you.
But then they put out Simple together. That was great.
Amazing.
No, so good.
Yeah, some of the conflict is your best. Some of that's your best performance in your music. Everything comes out of the conflict, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, he's a musician.
That's
Will.
it. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
what do you?
Little everything. Little mandolin, little guitar.
Oh,
little,
mandolin.
yeah, a bunch of obscure little instruments.
You got to cover a Wu-Tang.
We can do it. I play with a fiddler player. There's one by the name of Sarah the fiddler, and she would totally be down for a Wu-Tang.
Yeah, they have a couple violin.
Yeah.
I am requesting it now. Sarah the fiddler player, wherever you are, you
Start
will
practicing.
need to drop some Wu tracks.
We'll work on it. I'll see if I can get her to commit. I'm thinking she's in.
I will absolutely download that on Spotify, on Apple Music, wherever it is.
Fantastic.
Real talk. Real talk.
It's amazing. I love it. I'm totally down.
Well, I think we hit them all on the head. We talked to favorite teacher. We talked his passion. We talked. He has a
made
podcast.
you answer the big questions. That's right.
Favorite teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have a favorite restaurant in West Hartford before we close
Oh,
out.
my favorite restaurant in West Hartford. Wow. You know what's funny? I spent a lot of time at Zohara when the world was open. I miss Grants just because I used to do a lot of business meetings at Grants. Donut Crazy.
Donut Crazy.
Shout out to Donut Crazy, not just because I was Irene's ambassador, but also because, and this is hard for me to admit, being a New Yorker, right? Like, and I actually pronounced the full word New York versus New Yorker, right? It's hard for me to admit. The best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich I have ever had came out of Donut Crazy.
Ooh, quite the compliment.
You heard it here, guys.
Dude, it was to the point where the lady who made it for me, you know, we were chit-chatting, she put the sandwich together for me, and I walked back to my office, and I sat there, and I took a bite, and you know something that's so good, like, you have to stop, and I opened it up to see what was inside.
The stars aligned,
I'm
the
like-
sun got brighter.
Did she sprinkle a little crack on this? Like, what's going on? What is in this? Like, oh my
I'm hearing like a commercial, like music jingle starts happening in the background.
Right. It was like, oh my God. And like, you know, like, as a kid from Brooklyn, like, you know, bacon, egg, and cheese is a thing. Like every New Yorker, like, bacon, egg, and cheese is a thing. And I've had a ton of them in my life in tons of different cities. And this lady, and she's no longer with the company, right? She's left Donut Crazy. She's going on to greener pastures, doing whatever she's doing. Like, I need to find her number. I'm like, listen, Ma, I'm single. Like,
I need these every morning.
right. What's a brother got to do for a sandwich? This was amazing.
Can a brother get a sandwich?
It was oh man, it was like magnifique, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's so much good food here.
Oh my
There's
God.
so much good food.
Dude.
Zohara is a fantastic spot.
Oh my God, like Zohara, they used to, and my gripe with Zohara is they used to make this brisket grilled cheese sandwich.
All right.
Oh my God, my inner fat boy was in his. Every time I went in there.
My other fat boy's pretty excited about it too.
They don't make it anymore. They stopped making it. I don't know if it's back on the menu, but they stopped making it. And I remember like going in. I'm like, yeah. And you know the way you know the server was like, I'm sorry, we don't make it anymore. And it was like that one little tear.
I like Zahara.
Yeah, so dude, like literally like. Almost like the educational system in West Hartford, man. Like, you can't go wrong being in this town.
No.
You can't go wrong, man. Like, I remember, like, having a conversation with friends who were looking at moving here, and I said, man, look, they're like, well, should I be on this side or that side? I said, bro, like, you can trip and bang your head on a grade school.
Yeah.
Now, I'm kind of biased. My kids went through Walcott, they went through Sedgwick, they went through Conard. Huge fan of those schools, you know, but I have yet to meet a kid who came out of any of the other schools who, you know, wasn't as educationally sharp.
Right.
You know.
That's
They
something.
call it the crown jewel. A lot of politicians say if there was a religion for West Hartford, it'd be education.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I'm happy to be a part of it, and it was a dream come true to teach at Wolcott and have my girls go through Wolcott School, just to see the friendships they made. And
Were you here for the Plato days, like when Plato was?
no, he lived across the street from me though.
Oh, yeah.
And when I first moved in, I'm like, Plato. They were like, my neighbor Kathy was like, oh, you got to talk to him. He's the principal. I'm like, excuse me, Dr. K. I'll clean your car. I'll paint your house. I'll mow your lawn. What, can I have a job at Wolcott? He's like, people line up at my car every day for a job. And I'm like, oh. Like 5 years later, he's like, I got good news and bad news. Good news, I get you an interview. Bad news, I'm retiring. I'm like, I'll take it. And it worked out.
And it's horrible because I can picture the conversation because Plato was that kind of guy. Like he was a funny dude. Like he was.
Sounds like he was very forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like those kind of guys. They're fun.
Super funny dude.
Big theater guy, like, had a pet Luigi.
Luigi the puppet.
Yeah, he did all that.
Yes.
So we do, on Fridays, do something called town meeting, and it's like all the kids come together and they display their artwork, they read their poems and do a little presentation. It's like he does Luigi, and I missed it. But one time, handing out candy, Luigi handed out candy. Again, he's my neighbor, and I'm like, girls, it's Luigi. And they were like,
what?
I don't care.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. I was like, it's Luigi. It's Luigi. I'm like seeing like history and
Like you're super excited about your daughter's like, yeah,
and he did it all like cute on the side of the door. Like Luigi came up the door. Oh, you're not gonna trick or treat. And he does all the whole.
Dude, this dude was an institution in this town.
Just
That's crazy.
So he was there for 25 years, just like people. It was called the Hot School, higher order thinking, and people would come all over the country to see this town meeting thing. The kids work on display. It was kid ran. They would introduce a poem. The kid would read a poem. It's just amazing, amazing stuff. And
That was the Friday, and the Mondays was Harambe. So they'd have a drum circle on Mondays to welcome the kids into the school every Monday. Like, yeah,
Innovative. It's stuff you just don't see anywhere else.
yeah, no, not at all, man. I would tell people all the time, like, listen, you got kids, like, or you plan to have kids, move to West Hartford. Like, you just, like, you're in the city, you're paying for private school, you just sell the house, move to West Hartford. And it's funny because that's what you're seeing now, right?
Yeah.
Like you're seeing now, like, there's no inventory in this town in terms of houses, like, because something goes on the market and somebody scoops it up real quick. And one of the reasons was last year, I want to say it was like July, the New York Times ran an article about the top 10 places to live when you're leaving New York City. And West Hartford was like number 5
Yeah, I
on
was
the
gonna
list.
say, I remember seeing that article actually. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were
New
like,
York Times, like
New
that's
York Times,
huge.
New York Times was like, yo, this little gem. And to the point where like the chamber, their phone was ringing off the hook. They created a new website, Why West Hartford, to highlight like, the education, the arts.
I heard stories
the
people
food.
were leaving New York, buying houses sight unseen.
Yes.
Not even
Really?
knowing what the house looked like.
Dude.
Paying over what the house was worth in New Haven, West Hartford. I don't know.
Absolutely, like I've heard stories where, like even on busy roads, busy roads, houses facing the street, 20 grand over asking, 40 grand over asking,
It's amazing.
sight unseen.
No,
Incredible.
I know so I met my wife in New Haven. And that's why I mentioned New Haven, Southern Connecticut State, and then we lived there in Westville, and we're like, she's from East Granby, I'm from Waterbury, and then we're like, she's pregnant. Oh, she's pregnant with twins. We're both educators. We need to move somewhere, and we were like, West Hartford.
Yeah.
And couldn't be happier. And I'm like, oh, those guys with their, pink shorts and their penny loafers, and one's got the pink shorts, penny loafer, white
Pop
shirt,
collars.
pink shorts, blue shirt, pink shirts.
Dude.
And
Like
I'm like, oh, here we go. And now they're like, I was like, it's the greatest move I've ever made. West Hartford is definitely the place to be.
Absolutely, man. Like I mean, like that, it was a complete paradigm shift for me. Like I came out of New York, a kid from Brooklyn, like, Tim's, and baggy jeans still,
Right.
You know, and then I working in the corporate arena and just like being in town, and my kids are like, oh, you dress like a West Hartford dad. Well, you're going to the podcast with that sweater? Yeah, all they do is just pick you apart all day, like your teenage daughters. Oh, you're wearing that? I said, but it's a Wu-Tang shirt, but with that sweater.
I just got a haircut. My daughter's like, way too close on the side, Dad. Way too close on the side. And your top, you look like Bert and Ernie. And I was like, wow. I was like, that was a good one. I was like, I look like Bert, because it was like a wake up. Like it was like the official comb over wasn't in full effect. Bert from Bert and Ernie.
At least you have hair though, right? Because like if I don't shave my head, they go, yo, you going outside like that? I said, like what? Like, yo, your hairline. I said, listen, I'm in my 40s. I'm divorced. I have 3 kids. You think I care what my hairline looks like?
That ship has sailed.
That ship has sailed. Ain't nobody looking at me when I go outside. Come on, man. Give me a break.
Yeah, these kids are harsh.
Yeah, they're rough, like girls especially, man. You have kids yet?
Not yet.
Oh, bro. No, keep knocking on wood. Keep knocking on wood, man. Like, kids are rough. Girls, teenage girls especially, are just super
Sure they
rough.
beat you up.
They,
Beat you up.
oh my God.
Yeah, you wouldn't change it for the world, I'm sure.
No, not at
Love
all.
'em.
Not at all, man. I love
Mine
it.
turned 13 next week.
Next week. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, Vicky's 13 in April. Hey,
Who's this,
puppy.
Mo or
That's
Lo?
Mo. That's Mo of the Mo.
Mosaic.
I don't know.
Timer, and also there's like a lot of liquid coming out of the force boat.
Okay.
Mo.
I'll be back in a sec. Yeah. Duty calls, gentlemen. Got to go back to
Yeah.
the brew house.
Oh, no, well,
We're gonna
it's
do.
great to catch up
We're
with
gonna
you,
definitely
man.
do a
Yeah, as well.
podcast from the brew deck.
Definitely, it's coming.
The
Yo,
brew deck.
let me know. I'm down.
Oh,
I'm absolutely down. Hello, puppy.
Any closing remarks?
Closing remarks. First off, thank you for having me. Thank you for all that you do for the community. Like Eric, like you have been so impactful. You've made such a difference, and you may hear it occasionally, but I don't think it hurts to hear it again, man. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for having me here, man. Like this has been fun. This has been a lot of
thank
fun,
you.
and we need to do it more often.
Long time coming. I'm glad I sit down, chatted up with you. We talked from being a dad to finances to having a podcast to Wu-Tang. Just a wonderful conversation. I have a psychology minor.
Yeah.
So I have a major in sociology at Southern, minor in psychology. So there was a connection there. It's very helpful, and you're doing great things. Seeing you walk around looking sharp at the parent-teacher conferences, I'm like, I like this guy. And then our daughters hit it off, and they became friends. And then I saw you at the chamber, and I'm very excited that you're here. Episode 13 was great. Chris Clarke, Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, the Freckled financial phenom. It was great to sit down and talk with you. You're a wonderful person and a wonderful friend. So thank you so much. Let's cheers again.
Yeah.
I'm going to just do a couple shout outs of these events, reminders to those out there. December 4th, Lions Auto, 1056 New Britain Ave. We're looking for returnable cans and bottles, food, and furniture. Check it out on Facebook. The following weekend, December 11th, Sock Stars, 1 to 4, 18 LaSalle Road. It's the second year in a row. We're collecting board games and toys. So 2 wonderful events. You going to be around? You coming?
Yeah, I will be around for the 4th, the 11th. I might not be able to make it, but I'll come out and I'll represent.
And then again, thank you to Will and Cody. We had a wonderful spot on location. This is definitely a place to be. 141 Shield Street, WeHa Roasting and Brewing. Look at this guy.
Hey,
Doggy,
puppy.
doggy. Up here. Come here. Let's get him up here. Let's see.
Can we get you up here?
I'm gonna get bit.
He's like, nah.
Oh, we got bit. I'm kidding.
Don't
I'm a dog
lift me.
person. No? Okay, sorry. Sit.
He said, don't
Come
lift
on
me.
Up. Oh, God. Up. Come on. Come on up. Oh, gee. Oh, boy. I have a Labradoodle. All right, sorry, dude.
He said, don't lift me up.
We
son.
haven't edited ever, but if I got bit, maybe we would have edited that day.
No, you got to keep that in.
32 episodes, never edited. I broke a chair. I got hit in the,
That's so bad.
oh, he's grilling me.
You got to let it run free, man.
Yeah, but it was wonderful talking with you. Again, Friends of Feeney, this is Feeney Talks with Friends. This podcast is talking with wonderful people, doing great things in the community. And Chris Clarke definitely does wonderful things. So it was great to sit down and chop it up. I can't thank you enough. And we'll be in touch and be in contact.
Absolutely, man.
Check out the Single Dad While You Mad. And thanks again.
No doubt, man.
Be a good friend. Boom.